I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses because it would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey. I am your host, Wayne, joined as always by my partner in crime, Miss Tiffany. How's it going, ma'am?
Hello. How are you?
I'm just fan-friggin-tastic. Awesome. Happy to be here on this Thursday afternoon, ready to talk some creepy stuff with my nephew.
That's amazing. I love creepy talk.
He's an ex-Marine, just finished up his 4 years living in North Carolina, and I'm excited to have him come on and share some of the stuff that he experienced while he was enlisted.
And I'm sure we'll all agree that he needs to be thanked for his service, because it is it's a thankless job that nobody really thinks about, and that's unfortunate.
Absolutely. We will do all of that here shortly, but you are absolutely right. Before we get to him, though, I want to ask everybody, please take a second and hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. We would greatly appreciate it. We're headed in the right direction, just not there yet. So share the show with everybody, and we'd appreciate all your help.
And if you would like to be a guest on our show, we would love to hear from you. We love spooky stories. You can contact Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or myself at Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com.
I want to ask everybody to head over to paranormalworldproductions.com, the website. Check out all the shows, Sasquatch Odyssey. This show, Paranormal Odyssey, Basement Hangout, Chad and Bob over there, Kentucky X-Files. You guys do a great job. And coming very, very soon, as I mentioned last night when I was on with Doug and Alex Highcheck, Brian and I are launching a brand new Bigfoot show. It is called That Bigfoot Podcast. It is slated to be released. We're looking at October 13th to go ahead and drop the first several episodes. I think we're going to, Brian and I were talking before we came on, I think we might go ahead and release a teaser pretty soon. And then around October 13th, mid-October, we'll drop about 5 episodes for people to, to kind of get your feel. And then after that, it'll be a weekly broadcast. But we're really, really excited about this show. I'll just go ahead and talk a little bit about it now while I brought it up. It's going to be, this isn't your grandma or your grandpa's Bigfoot show. This isn't anything that you're used to. When you listen to Sasquatch Odyssey or Paranormal Odyssey, you're getting something completely different with this show. We're going to talk about all the stuff that people don't want to hear or people don't want to talk about. Like regular podcasters don't want to touch it because it's controversial. we don't care. It's time that someone out there talks about the crap that goes on in the Bigfoot community, and that's what we're going to do at that Bigfoot podcast. It's going to be a part of the Paranormal World Production Studio, the brand new show that will be launched. But yeah, said all that to say, guys, head over to paranormalworldproductions.com and show some support to the studio.
And I have a feeling that you guys are going to want to ask questions, and I really hope that you do. And we ask that you put them in all capital letters so we can see them and we can get them to our guest and they can be answered.
All right. I want to ask everybody head over to Manimal Research on Facebook. Check out my organization, Manimal Research, Bigfoot organization. I founded back in 2019. If you'd like to become a member, we would love to have you. So check us out over there.
And we ask you every time we come on air to go to reaperapparelco.com. You get 10% off if you use the promo code Paranormal Odyssey, and we are in the works with Reaper Dan. So if you could just go over there, help him out, and save yourself some money.
Very, very good. Very good. All right. All of that out of the way. What's been going on with you, Tiffany? Anything interesting happening in Virginia?
No, not really. Not too much happening in Virginia. I finally recovered from our 3-hour podcast run that I did the other night. I went from our show to Bigfoot Michigan Rob's show. I was pretty hoarse by the end of that.
Yeah, and I know you and Brian talked about it a little bit, and I've talked about it with some people that you just don't, sitting at home and watching these things, you can't grasp how much it takes out of you. Sitting like your show, just sitting and conversing and all this. I don't know. It was really impressive. I'm glad that you were able to go over there and hang out with those guys. Like you said, a good 3 hours of talking, which might not sound too terrible to a bunch of people, but it takes it out of you.
Right. And I was just drained all day yesterday, like all day yesterday. And I was talking to Zach, my husband, and I'm like, people don't think about it. And it's like you said, it doesn't look like it's that hard because we're just sitting here in our studios or our offices and we're just talking. But this is not small talk. This isn't, hey, how you doing? How's the weather? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, you are like in-depth thinking, you are tuned in. It is like, yeah, it's very draining.
It is.
It's very fun, but it's very draining.
It's work. It really is, and it's work to put out all this free content that people get. And I don't want to sound like it's a bad thing that it's free, because it's not. We all love getting our free content, but you got to remember the people that put the work in, the time that it takes to put out a show. And I guess we're saying all that to ask you guys once again to consider becoming a member of the show. It's something new that we just launched. We've got a couple of members already, but obviously we'd like to have more. We did away with all the platforms. There's only one platform. It's $1.99 a month, $2 a month. That's it. You're going to get some extra stuff, some extra one-on-one time with just Tiffany and I. That'd be at least a couple of those episodes. And Tiffany and I talked, and we'd like to bring some of the members on with us on some of those episodes and just talk about what you guys want to discuss. And along with that, you'll get extra episodes that aren't available to anyone else, and extra shorts and stuff like that. But I mean, it's just, if it's just done to help us out, we would appreciate it. $1.99 a month. And it's, I don't know. I don't want to beg people.
Well, I don't think we're begging. I think we work our ass off, and I think it's okay.
Yeah. And we don't have any donation tabs or anything like that. We don't ask for stuff like that. But anyway, all of that out of the way, I am excited to get to our guest. What do you think?
Absolutely. Let's bring him on.
Before we bring him on, I just want to, before he gets out here, take a second and let him know how incredibly proud I am of him for the decision that he made to just such a selfless act to get out of high school and join our armed forces. I believe it was one of the best decisions he could have made for himself. Um, Extremely proud of him and thank him so very much for his service. And
Absolutely.
I'm very honored to have my nephew, Jacob, join us. There he is. Hey, buddy.
How's it going, y'all?
You doing all right today?
Yeah, we're doing all right. Lazy day. Got off day off work.
Yeah, guys, that's not his normal sexy, raspy voice. He was at a concert last night and did a little screaming, a little too much of it. So he warned us before coming on, but he said he thinks he can make it, so we're going to give it a shot.
Oh, I can 100% make it. And the concert wasn't last night. It was last week.
And you still can't talk? Man, what is wrong with you?
Yes.
You need to take it easy.
I think you need to drink more of that tea. Extra honey and extra lemon.
No, I'm already out, so.
Jacob, you're in North Carolina, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's where you were stationed while you were in the Marines?
I was stationed on New River, and I was stationed on Lejeune.
Okay, and well, you were in for 4 years, correct?
Yes.
What was your job while you were in there?
So I was part of the engineers. My main job was 1171 water purification technician. So anything that needed potable water, anything that needed water sources and stuff like that, I come in. I was able to take water from lakes, ponds, puddles, sewers, and turn that into potable drinking water. And my B billet that I eventually learned was 0331 machine gunner.
Oh, wow. That sounds impressive.
I love the machine guns.
All right. So I guess we're just going to jump in and talk about some of the stuff that you experienced while you were in the military. I don't know if you have much in the lines of haunted activity before you joined, but what happened? What did you experience in the military? I guess start at the beginning. What was the first thing you experienced? Before you do, Whiskey Were Cryptids just became a member. Thank you very, very much, buddy. I certainly appreciate it. That's my buddy Michael. Thank you, sir. All right. The floor is yours, Jacob.
So any military installation you go to, doesn't matter how long it's been there, it's going to be haunted in some way, shape, or form. Camp Lejeune and New River being the oldest ones, they're very haunted just from the amount of stuff that has happened on base. So the first time we ever had any encounter was when I was in Marine combat training. It was about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I have no idea what time it was, but we were all standing outside in formation. The staff sergeant sitting there talking to us. We were on a faster schedule, so we were trying to learn a lot in like 2 weeks. And what ended up happening is we're all standing out in formation and we look up to the barracks. Well, there happened to be a shadow figure, like a full body shadow sitting in the window, but you couldn't see the bottom half. So our first thought was, of course, like somebody fell asleep. Somebody's going to get us messed up. We're all supposed to be down here taking accountability, doing whatever staff sergeant says. So, we're all shouting and hollering, telling them to get down here. Well, 2 instructors actually go up. I believe Sergeant Powell and Sergeant Williams is the one that went up. I could be mistaken. It's been a while. And after about 5 minutes, they're still talking to us.
Hey, Jacob, let me interrupt you for just a second, but we're getting some squeaking while you're rocking. If you could just try not to rock so it's coming through the audio. Sorry to interrupt.
That's my bad. I'll quit rocking.
Hey, you're good, buddy. Go ahead.
So yeah, they come down, and what eventually happened is they walked right up to the staff sergeant and said, "Hey, put these guys to sleep now." And we're all kind of like, what? Like, we're out here learning stuff. We're out here doing stuff. And they're like, everybody go to sleep now. And these are guys that have been to Iraq, Afghanistan. These are guys that have seen combat, was the last bit of my instructors. So they have seen some things. And for them to go up there to see whatever the word was up there, to see something that they would not talk about, and scared them, like kind of spooked all of us. But what we eventually write it off as is we've been up for 20 something hours. We're sleep deprived. We're hungry. So it's like we wave everything off as, oh, we're just sleep deprived. It was nothing.
And you're talking about an apparition that you saw.
So from my perspective, my back was to it. It was looking over at behind the formation I was in. So I had to turn around and look up there. And all I seen was it looked like this. The dude was peering through the window and it was solid black. The lights were on and it was solid black in the window. And we're sitting there. Who is this? Go get him. Turned out to be nobody.
Wow.
So it's one of those where we're like, okay.
And that was it. Where did you say that happened at?
So this was on Camp Geiger for my Marine combat training.
Okay, so that was early on in your military career?
That was, I think I was maybe 3 months in at the time.
Wow, welcome to the Marines.
Yeah, it was spooky. There's a lot of different stories that I have from me or other people, especially in my field of experience. We're always in the field because we're always proving, hey, we're part of utilities. We can build a small town if we need to, and we have. So we're constantly having to, go produce water, go put out power. We're always in the field.
And and Tiffany and I were talking with you before we came on, and there's just that air of credibility when you're talking to military personnel, law enforcement, because these are people that you trust with your life. You do. Yeah, you trust them to show up when the shit hits the fan and help you and protect you. If you put that much trust in them, you trust your life, your family's life, why can't you trust them when they talk about some creepy shit they saw?
Exactly.
So what happens next, Jacob? That was the first creepy thing you experienced. So take us to the next one.
So the next one, I'm kind of jumping one. This is actually a story my buddy told me. We were in the schoolhouse and it was him and his two roommates. His two roommates were asleep and he was on FaceTime with his brother. Well, he's got a TV going in the background. He's just sitting there talking to his brother. Well, he said all of a sudden, because we have bunk beds, so he's sitting on the top rack. He said all he seen was hands come up and a head peer up and then go back down. And he said by the time he realized the head was there, he of course was shot up to see who it was. And he said at that time, his bathroom door slammed shut. So he thought it was one of the guys that was sleeping. So he gets up and immediately goes to the bathroom. He tries to open the door and can't. Well, he turns around. He's like, man, these guys are trying to scare me. Both his roommates are passed out in their racks, just asleep. So he immediately starts freaking out. I was like, what did I just see? So he starts trying to open the bathroom door. And he said after about 15 minutes of him trying to open the bathroom door, it finally unlocked. And he said whenever it finally unlocked, he pushed open the door and put his brother, who was still on FaceTime with him the entire time, and put it around, show him the bathroom to see what was there.
And nothing.
Nothing. And he said, well, I asked him, I was like, did you make out any facial features? Did you see, anything that could be what it could be? He said, no, it was literally just a black mass, just peer up and then go back down.
What is it about these military bases? Do you have an opinion? What is it about them that makes them so haunted? I mean, you usually attribute hauntings to deaths. And I mean, is there a lot of deaths on military bases? I wouldn't think so, because you're there training, you're there learning.
And so it depends on where you're at. So there's, no matter where you're at, no matter what training you're going through, if you're a recruit going through boot camp, or if you've been in the fleet for however many years, there's accidental death. There's, as much as I hate to say it, suicides. There's a lot that goes on. And then just, if you're not in a great spot, if your unit is not really great and stuff like that, there's a lot of negativity circling around. So a lot of people just push it off to that, but also a lot of people push it off to it's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but you
So
hear more and more of like all the military encounters you hear of cryptid things. There's equally the same amount of paranormal things, and it's on every single it's seemingly almost every single base. It's crazy.
It's everywhere because just the amount of stuff that happens. I know multiple times I've heard of it. Mortarmen and stuff like that. They have 40 mic rounds they throw in a tube and it's a grenade. They throw it in the tube and it goes off. I've heard a lot of stories of people going to set up the tube. It drops and immediately explodes.
Oh
And
wow.
it takes a lot of people with them. And there's been multiple times while we're on ranges and stuff shooting, or we're learning how to shoot and stuff like that. Like you'll just see people walking, especially at night shoots. You'll see people walking in between targets. So they'll do like, ceasefire, and they'll call out to see who's out there, like who's dumb enough to walk out in the middle of the field while we're live firing live rounds.
Right.
And like everybody always go out there, it's nothing. But we have all just seen somebody walk across the firing range.
That's crazy. Yeah, because trauma and negativity, it's all drawn together,
yeah. Yeah. So let's just keep going, Jacob. What else happens?
So my biggest experience, I tried to wave this off as much as I could. Like I tried to think I was sleep deprived, I was tired, I imagined it because it happens. Like you really do hallucinate. Well, we was out in the field up, and I remember I had generator watch, so I just go out there and I'll make sure the generator stays running and it's got fuel. Well, I'm standing outside and I'm really not in regs. I have a gray sweatshirt on. I have my cami bottoms that are not even bloused up. I have boots on that aren't tied. I'm just standing out. It's 3:00 in the morning. So I'm standing out there and it's cold. I'm standing like this next to the generator. I've been in the fleet for about 6 months at this time. Well, out of nowhere, somebody walks up to me. And I'm thinking it's 3:00 in the morning. Who is walking up to me? I have my rifle slinged on my back, but I got no rounds. So I'm just standing there. I'm like, if this person wants to come up and fight, oh well, this is going to be interesting. Well, dude comes up. He goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Lance Corporal Totoro. I'm the generator watch." He goes, "I'm Gunny Smith." And at that point, like I was like, that's a higher up. I'm about to get chewed out because I'm not in regs. I was like, I'm preparing for a butt chewing. Well, I said, "Bro, Gunny, how's it going? What are you doing up so late?" He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I am doing generator watch." And he was close to me. Like the span of the generator is about that big. I'm standing on one side, he's standing on the other. So I'm making out his facial features. He has a mustache. He has green eyes. And like, he's just very pale. So I just assumed nothing of it. And, he goes, "What are you doing out here?" And I said, "I'm doing generator watch. Make sure the Jenny don't go down." He goes, "Where are we?" I said, "We're on Lejeune. We're on Camp Sones. I think it was Camp Davis we was at." He's like, "We're on Camp Davis, just doing a field exercise." He goes, "Why are you here?" I said, "We are training, just see what we can do in the future." And like having a full conversation with him. And I'd look down at my watch and like, honestly, it seemed like time sped up because before he walked up, it was like 3:00. I looked down, it was 3:29. And I was like, that's weird. Okay. Well, I looked up and I was about to say, "Gunny, I got to go wake up the next fire watch so I can go get some sleep." I look up, he was gone.
Oh my God.
Out of nowhere, just gone.
That's creepily terrifying.
And I literally, like, I kind of got like chills from it. I got chills. And I was like, well, that was weird. And I immediately, like, I didn't even wake up the next fire watch because I just walked in the tent and I just laid down. Like, still everything on, boots, everything. I just laid down. I was like, what in the world was that?
Excuse me. When I hear stories like this, I think we all do this. We put ourselves in that position, like what we would do. And I put myself in that position when you were saying it. I think I would have to change my drawers. That's terrifying.
Oh, I was definitely shaking. And the next morning, like, I woke up and I'm like, "Hey, does anybody know a Gunny Smith?" Like, he come up and talked to us last night, and the old master sergeant that we used to work with, he goes, Gunny Smith. We're like, yeah, he described him perfectly. He goes, kind of short, mustache, green eyes. I was like, yeah, that's him. He goes, yeah, he's been dead for 6 years.
Now, what does gunny mean?
He's a gunnery sergeant. He is E7 in the Marine Corps.
And who was it that told you about him being dead?
It was a master sergeant, so that's an E8. So he had been around for the master sergeant I was talking to. I think he was on his 22nd year in the Marine Corps. So he knew Gunny Smith.
That makes it even more terrifying.
He told me that, and I was like, okay, well, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go change my drawers real quick. And like, it's something like, as you go, you just tuck away, and you just try to convince yourself like, I was just sleep deprived, I was hallucinating. It's like, you don't hallucinate a whole man coming up, described perfectly by another person that's been here longer, and have a full conversation with him just for him to leave. Like that.
When you say sleep deprived, how sleep deprived are we talking? Like, how long had you gone without sleep?
So whenever we're in the field, depends on what needs to be done that day. We're typically up about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And typical time for utilities, whenever we lay down, it's about 12 o'clock, 1. So we're like to actually like lay down inside a tent and sleep. Now, throughout the day, you'll find us we're just knocked out anywhere we go because we're just tired. But like there's times you're out in the field. It's not all the time. There's times out in your field like you don't sleep.
Okay. But we're not talking about like a week without sleep.
No. This is like I think that day I was awake for 18 hours.
So 18 hours. I don't think you can chalk what you experienced up to sleep deprivation.
I've tried that so many times, and I still always it's just one of those things. It's like, okay, that's weird.
How far away from Gunny Smith were you?
Like I said, so he was on one side of the generator. I was on the other side. So I had to guess about 2 feet.
Oh, you're 2 feet away from this person having a conversation, and then that person's no longer there.
Yeah, he disappeared, and he only asked me like 6 or 7 questions, and I told you it seemed like time sped up.
Yeah, how much time did you say?
Like, to me, it felt like it was just a 30-second conversation. And then I looked down, 29 minutes had passed, and I'm like,
29 minutes. See, that's one thing that fascinates the hell out of me is like losing time, like time slips, and like, how do you explain that? I don't know how. But you're sitting there and you have a conversation with what you believe to be another soldier, just a few questions, just a couple of like 3 or 4 questions, and it took 29 minutes.
And to me, like, it just seemed like it was 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, I was still sitting there waiting for the butt chewing for not being in regs.
That's creepy. That's creepy. That's one of the strangest things I've heard in a while. That's
in the field. Now let's get to the barracks, the living quarters, to where we all live and sleep in.
Okay.
Whatever. So the barracks 100% are haunted, unless they're freshly constructed. And even then, you'll have a couple things going on. I've had talks with multiple guys. So whenever you stand duty, you have to be awake for 24 hours with, of course, like a rest period. But your rest period's anywhere from 4 hours to 6 hours, give or take. Now, I've had talks with people on duty that they said they've been walking around like you're supposed to make sure nobody's acting up. And they will see 5, 6, 7 doors all open simultaneously and then shut just as fast as they opened.
That's creepy.
Every single time, like, they have told me, like, it's like very late in the night, and they're just walking around picking up trash and stuff like that. And it's like there might be onesies and twosies that awake, a couple people, but they're just staying inside the room. There's no reason 7 doors should all open up at the same time and then shut at the same time.
So what is their opinion of that? Like when all this crazy, creepy stuff happens, what is it that they're saying about it?
It all goes back to the sleep deprivation. So it's like everybody just, kind of writes it off. It's just, oh, I'm just tired. Like I did not just see this. This didn't just happen. So it's like, as I'm talking to everybody, getting these stories, they're like, I just didn't think too much of it. I just turned around, went back to the duty hut. And it's just like, you just watch 6 doors open. Like I would be knocking on every single door.
Yeah, that's pretty hard to just dismiss. Like, oh, I'm just kidding. This didn't really happen. That's insane.
And they've told me multiple times they'll see people walking around, but like, it's the barracks. People's going to walk around. Like it's late hours of night. Some people are probably coming back from doing stuff, whatever. But they said multiple times that they're always in some type of dress uniform. And you only wear dress uniforms on special occasions, not on just a random Thursday night.
Right.
Like they'll see, and they've seen older style uniforms. And like they say every single time, they only see it for a brief second before they round the corner. And of course, like you walking up, you're kind of speed walking. Hey, what are you doing? What are you in your dress uniforms for? What's going on? They'll round the corner, nobody's there.
You made comment about people just like chalk it up to oh well, or don't really like investigate it a lot. And I've been talking recently, and I was on Doug Highcheck's show last night, and something that we talked about was being in the field, like doing Sasquatch investigations, waking up in the middle of the night feeling like something woke you up, something outside your tent or outside your camper happened that caused you to wake up, but you're not alarmed, you're not to the point where you're afraid. It's like you can't make yourself get up and go investigate. And I wondered why that is. I wonder if it's the same thing, like if your brain just won't allow you to comprehend. I don't know.
That might be what it is, because the human brain cannot comprehend a lot of things at once, especially anything paranormal. So it's like you wake up and like your body's reacting. I'm awake in the middle of the night. I just need to go back to sleep. And your brain's like, something's there, but your brain cannot beat your body. So it's like in your head, you think there's something there, but your body's not reactive.
Yeah, you got to have somebody a lot smarter than me come on and talk about why that is. But I don't know. It's interesting, man. We need to get John on here to talk about the fight or flight.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so let's keep going, Jacob. And you told me you had several stories, and we ain't even got to the Skinwalker part yet.
That one's gonna be the big story.
Okay.
Now, back in the barracks for the longest time, Olivia had to go live in Washington. I was supposed to get sent to a special school to disappear for a little bit. I ultimately got dropped from that school for circumstances I couldn't handle. Well, I could handle it. It's just out of my hands. I had nothing to do with. So they ended up dropping me, and Olivia was living in Washington State at the time. And I was back in the barracks and Camp Lejeune. And I had lived by myself for the longest time. So it was just me in the room. And the TV behind me that I'm using now, we've kind of written this off, but it's still kind of weird. The TV behind me that I'm looking at now would turn on and off periodically throughout the night. Now, me and Olivia kind of debunked this because we learned that any remote whatsoever will turn it on. But it seemed like for a while, it always turned on at 3:30 in the morning. And it was just one of those things. Is like I ended up unplugging my TV because in the middle of the night, I would just hear it go off and then turn on and then turn back off.
Yeah,
and it'd be really creepy if the damn thing cut on while you had it unplugged.
Didn't Luna and Nolan talk about that when we had them on?
Yeah, they
The-
talked about their TV cutting on at certain times.
Now, we know, like with us, like figuring out like any remote we're turning on, like the remote for my lights in here turns it on, but it still is like every day at 3:30 at night.
Oh, remotes to different things were
Anything.
cut on. Wow.
Now, for my room and where I had the TV, the room that would be next to it was actually a storage closet. So there, unless it was reading from like 2 rooms away, someone else's like remote or whatever, I don't know. But I know that certain things are kicking on. But I always found it weird that it's at 3:30 in the morning every morning.
Yeah, Grasshopper here says neighbors can set TVs and stuff off. He had with universal remote. And
Yeah.
I have we don't use them now, but we were using Roku's for a while here at my house. And Scarlett, my 2-year-old, went through this phase where she had to have every remote, no matter what it was. I was finding the remotes in garbage cans. I mean, she was just putting them everywhere. So we were constantly losing our Roku remote. So you go and you download the app, the Roku remote app on your phone, and you can change the channel and from your cell phone. I wonder if it could be anything like that. Did y'all have an app or anything
No,
that controlled it?
no. A lot of people just had remotes or stuff like that, or they just turn it on manually. Because like with this one, I don't have a remote to it, so I've always just turned it on manually. But in the same room, so I've had the TV. I've always heard like somebody shuffling in the room, but I always chopped it up to like somebody walking outside. Somebody's up above me shuffling their feet. And I remember one morning, and this scared the absolute piss out of me. Is I had just woken up. I was about to get ready to go do physical training. I woke up and like I sat up, and that like brief moment you're just trying to like wake up from sleep and actually being alive.
Yeah.
I'm right there, and I hear right next to my ear, "Hey, buddy," clear as day. And I mean, my back turned I turned so quick, and I put my back against the wall because I thought somebody was in my room because it was just so clear and like a teenage voice, "Hey, buddy," and I turned and I quickly started darting the room, and I had LEDs in my room and stuff like that, and I always kept them red, and just peering through everything, could not see anything.
Yeah, just weird stuff that you can't explain.
Well, and I remember having an incident, like I've had so many weird things happen here, but my husband has a CPAP to sleep, and I lay with my back away from him. And there was the same thing. I was laying on my left side, and I heard my name in a male voice, and I thought it was him. So I rolled over, and he's sound asleep, still has his mask on. Didn't have any idea. So I'm like, yeah, okay.
There's just a lot of stuff here.
So what's next, Jake?
I believe that's all my stories, just from the haunted ones. A lot of them I don't really have a lot of detail. It's just seeing shadow figures. It's hearing stories. So I don't really have a lot of detail. So let's jump into the Skinwalker. So when it comes to stuff like this, I'm skeptical with. And it's not like I'm skeptical that this stuff is real. It's like, I don't know if something in itself, like a Skinwalker, would actually exist. But it's also like, I'm not going to tempt in case it does.
Right.
So I'm always on like every time I've heard about it, like I'm on the fence, like there's no Skinwalker. He used to be my buddy. My buddy Chris used to, he has a house out in Wallace, and it's about a 20-minute drive there. And he lives in the middle of the woods, and he sits on 5 acres. Well, ever since he bought his house, he kept saying like, there's a Skinwalker in our woods. There's a Skinwalker in our woods. And, I'd always just, yeah, whatever. I'm not going in your woods, but I kind of don't believe you. And they've come up to me, my buddy Chris, Austin, and my buddy Jake would always come up and be like, hey, like, there's something in these woods. We've heard it. Like, we've heard this thing dart back and forth. So like I'm always writing it off as, it's an animal. You're hearing a bobcat scream because like you're in the middle of the woods, like you're hearing stuff. Well, we'd always go over to his house to drink and hang out, and I had a brain fart. We'd always go to his house and drink and hang out. We'd always like, get drunk and stuff, the Skinwalker and go run around the woods for a little bit. Well, we'd always come back and nothing ever happened. One night in specifically, and we have tried every which way to debunk this. We have tried every which way to say this did not just happen. We're all sitting around a table, and there's a good chunk of us there. There's like 10 people there at my buddy's house. Well, my buddy Jake had drunk a lot that night, but no more than than I've seen him drink. Like he did not surpass his amount, because when you're around somebody so much that drink a lot, you know how often and how they act. Well, it is 1:00 in the morning, and I'm stone cold sober because it was my turn to drive home. And I turned to Olivia. I said, "Hey, we're about to leave." Well, Jake, he just falls on the floor. So we're like, "Okay, buddy, yeah, you're messing with us." So we go over, we're tickling him, we're kind of smacking him. We're like, "Hey, bud, wake up, quit messing with us." Somebody brought out a taser and tased him, just us being dumb Marines. Well, he finally comes to. And when he comes to, he does not know where he is at. He does not know who he is. He does not know who we are. And the look of terror in his eyes, the straight look of terror, is like he had just seen something he was not supposed to see. And like he just woke up like in the dining room floor. So we're like, "Hey, bud, like, are you okay?" He starts panicking. He starts like crawling back towards the back door, screaming, "Stay away from me. I do not know you. Stay away, stay away." And we thought, he's just being drunk and stupid. So he gets up and he runs. So Jake is 6'3", no, 6'2", my bad, 330 pounds at this time. He is a big boy. And he is in a full dead sprint to the back door. And he gets over there. He starts trying to figure out how to open the door. He's opening it. He's locking it and unlocking it. So he's doing that for about 5 minutes as me and my buddy Chris are like, "Dude, calm down. It's us. It's us. It's okay. Relax." He finally gets the back door open. So in our heads, we're still thinking he is in a drunk endeavor. He doesn't like whatever. He gets out. He runs across the backyard. He jumps over the fence, and he starts making a beeline for the road towards the opposite woods. So we're like, great. We're out in the middle of nowhere, but we don't want him to get in the woods and get hurt. So we run up. We actually tackle him. And the entire time, he is screaming, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Do not kill me. I am so sorry. Do not kill me." And we're like, "Dude, you're drunk. It's okay. It's just us." He grabs me and he throws me over Chris. I'm 6'3", 200 pounds at this time. And he threw me like I was nothing. So my buddy Chris, he actually gets rolled over on top of, and Hackett's crawling away. My buddy Jake, my bad, is crawling away, trying to get away from us. Well, my buddy has chicken and geese and stuff like that. During this time, they were silent. Well, we finally get him pinned back down and we flip him over. And I am on his arm. My buddy Chris is on his arm. My buddy Rod is on his leg. And another guy we had, Thomas, is on his other leg. We have him starfish holding him down. And the entire time he's screaming, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do this." At this time, the geese and the chicken started going insane. Like there was something around. And nobody else really felt it. I felt like we were being watched. I was like, I just got that funny feeling there's something behind me. But I was trying to make my main focus on my buddy Jake. Well, he's screaming. He's trying to throw us. He gets flipped over to his stomach. And the entire time he's screaming, "Don't hurt me. I'm so sorry." And he starts with all 4 of us on him. He is gripping into the grass, crawling away. And we're all on top of him. So we get him flicked back over, and he starts screaming, "Just kill me, just kill me, just kill me." He passes out. So we're like, what in the world? We check him, he's not breathing. So we pick him up and we do a Heimlich maneuver, and he wakes up. Whenever he wakes up, he projectile vomits everything. And it's not just like, you've heard the drunk stories, they'll throw up a little bit on themselves. He literally puked 2 feet in front of him and was throwing up with such ferocity. We finally got him a bucket. He would throw up in the bucket and it would splash up, hit him. Well, we're like, man, dude, you've had a lot to drink, whatever. And, he's still screaming, I'm so sorry. I'm so, like, at the top of his lungs, screaming, I am so sorry. Doesn't know where he's at, who we are, nothing. So about this time, as he's still throwing up, we're trying to talk him down. 2 other people that were there that night, for some reason, get in a fight. Like, I mean, one dude swings on the other. He's threatening to kill him and everything else. So I get up and I break him apart. And I'm like, chill out. There's too much going on. The dude swings at me. And at this point in time, I get like my first body instinct is to swing back. And by the time it took me to rear back my arm and start going forward, I felt every single ounce of rage I've ever felt. Like in my life growing up, like I felt extremely angry. And about halfway before I was about to connect, I'd come to and I realized I don't need to do this. So as I'm still swinging, in a matter of time it takes you to throw a punch, all this happened. I open my hand up and I grab the front part of his sweatshirt and I throw him down. I lay on top of him and I'm telling him to calm down. Hackett's still, my buddy Jake is still throwing up. He's still passing in and out of consciousness, not breathing. And he is filled up a 5-gallon bucket at this time. He is up and down, passing in and out. And we're like, dude, you didn't even have 2 6-packs. Like, we've seen you drink so much more and you've been so much worse. What in the world is this? We finally get him kind of settled down where he's not screaming anymore. And he starts screaming because he's part, what is he, Cherokee or something? Cherokee Indian. He's from Wisconsin. He's part of the reserve and everything. And he starts screaming, I have upset the Great Spirit. This Great Spirit is trying to kill me. And like locks his body to start praying. And it's like, okay, that's out of nowhere. That's weird. Gets done praying, passes out again. We have to bring him back. So we're sitting there, we're trying to figure out what to do because we think he has alcohol poisoning. We finally get him up. We finally get him in the house. We get him in the back room. And he's still passing. He passed out 2 times, just us going to the house. Still, every single time, he's not breathing. And we're like, what in the world is going on? And me and my buddy's wife are the only sober ones at the party. Well, everybody kind of sobered up during like this entire process. So we're all like, what in the world are we doing? We think he might have alcohol poisoning. We're in the house. He's in the back room. And I say, if he passes out one more time, we will take him to a hospital. And at that point in time,
at what point do you call 911 to get some help?
Well, like this kind of goes back to the time thing. We didn't realize much time had passed by. So we get in the house, and I noticed it is 3:00 in the morning. We had somehow just fought this man for 2 hours when it seemed like no time had passed by whatsoever. So he's still throwing up, and I say, if he passes out one more time, we're going to take him to a hospital. And at that point in time, he realized who he was, where he was, and who we were. And he said, no hospitals, I'm okay. And we're like, dude, we just fought you for the last 2 hours, trying to get you to remember who you were. And all I got to do is say hospital and you're back too. So it's like, it's one of those things where like, okay. Well,
how well do you know this guy, Jacob?
I have been, he was in the first unit that I went to. And once I left and I went to another unit, we actually still became friends. So multiple nights I've seen this man drink. Multiple nights we've gone out, we've done things. We used to hang out every weekend. So like I knew this man pretty well. I knew how much he could drink. I knew how much he could handle. I have never seen him at this point, like this intoxicated this much. So it's like, dude, you didn't even drink that much, what you normally do to cause.
Y'all did tase his ass.
Yeah, but the Marines, I've got plenty of party stories, but
Yeah.
the pure terror in his eyes the entire time. I know I haven't really touched on it, but this man is terrified of everything.
And that says a lot, because I mean, that kind of terror, that kind of look, I've seen it a couple of times from people. That's something you can't really fake.
No.
So something spooked him, something scared him. And you said that he's Native American, correct?
Yes.
So I'm wondering what led you to connect this story with the stuff that's happening with a skinwalker. Now, I know you said your buddy said there was a skinwalker in the woods. I mean, how does all this connect?
So I'm about to. So we finally get done. He finally passes out. We're sitting around the table. Me and Olivia's about to leave. 15 minutes before all of this happened, him and the two people that got in a fight went to the woods to go skinwalker hunting.
Skinwalker hunting.
Because they were just drunk. They were like, we're going to go find and fight the skinwalker. They were out there for a good 20 minutes. And then 15 minutes, he comes back. All of this portrays, all of this happens. The pure terror in his eyes, unmatched anything I've ever seen somebody scared.
So you think, I mean, let's be honest, it sounds like a bunch of kids doing what kids do, drinking, being stupid. I was a kid too. We've all done it, drink and do stupid stuff. Maybe piss something off. Is that what you're getting at? Y'all piss something off in the woods?
I really think we do. I really think we did. We pissed something off that we should not have pissed off. And Olivia, my fiance, she doesn't believe in anything like the paranormal stuff and stuff like that. But even she has looked at me and told me something had a hold of him. Something was there so bad.
Okay, so she was actually there too and saw it.
Yes.
Well, so that makes sense as to why he was saying, I'm so sorry, and I've upset the Great Spirit, and just kill me now, just kill me, Yeah,
because the stuff that we've learned, I shouldn't say we, I think I speak for Tiffany as well, but that we've learned from doing this show is something that you don't want to tempt, something that you don't want to taunt.
Yes.
Is that thing, is skinwalker. I mean, some people, I mean, that's a pretty big deal to the Native Americans. And I mean, it sounds like you might have pissed something off.
And even though he's Cherokee and skinwalker's like Navajo, I mean, it's still, still that Native American tie in there.
Mm-hmm. So he doesn't remember a thing.
Wow.
He doesn't remember. We had a fire early that night. We went out and made a bonfire. He remembers the bonfire. The bonfire was at least 2 hours before all that happened. He doesn't remember anything.
And you said all he had was like a 12-pack of beer.
All he had was a 12-pack. I've seen this man kill 30 racks and still be perfectly fine.
Yeah, normally liquor will make you that crazy. Not really so much beer. I don't know. I don't drink. So, but from what I've heard.
You're right. Yeah.
No, a lot of things happened and we chalked it up. And I just thought about this now because I told y'all, we're not really friends anymore. The entire friend group that used to go to that house every weekend, we're all no longer friends.
Do you think that's something that came in between you guys?
I think so, or something drove us apart. Because it got to the point we just really couldn't stand being around each other. As much as we tried, we could not stand to be around each other. And it started with me and Chris because we had gotten into it over something at his house. And I had cut ties. And from what I've learned, because I still talk to Jake. Jake's about the only one I really talk to this day. He said we're all not friends anymore.
So do you feel like some sort of resentment maybe? Or just
I don't really feel resentment. I feel sorrow for it because it's why did all of this happen? We used to be really good friends and now we're not.
Right.
Something I'm curious about is you started the story with your buddy saying there's a skinwalker in my woods. Now, there's a lot of things people could say are in my woods. What made this man say skinwalker?
So I guess he did research into it. We really wouldn't dive into why he thought there was. He'd just come up and say, like, there is. And it's like, what makes you think? I remember it first started was actually my buddy Austin was over at his house dog sitting because they were away. And he said he was outside smoking a cigarette. And he said, like, the noises he heard was nothing natural, was nothing animalistic. He said it was something like that would make your blood curdle.
And this is in North Carolina?
This is in North Carolina. And dude, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, it could be a bobcat. Bobcat screams scare everybody. Like, there's different noises that animals make that don't sound animalistic.
Yeah, and foxes. I mean, have you heard some of the noises that a fox will make? My God.
Another thing that they told me is they were out having a bonfire one day, and they said, like, something was in the woods and something was moving fast. Like, it was big and it was fast. And they heard it tear through the woods. And I'm sitting there thinking, that could be anything. It could be a hog. That could be a wild dog. Like, that could be something else. It wasn't until, like, that night that I really think it's like, okay, maybe this stuff is real. I am not messing with it. You stay over there. I'm going to stay over here. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff out there that we definitely don't know. And it just makes me wonder why he leapt to Skinwalker. And the people that I talk to, I mean, you would think Bigfoot. There's a Bigfoot out there. There's a Sasquatch, a dog man even, which when I first started looking into all this, you know, I first thought dog man was a misidentified Bigfoot. And then I started leaning toward like Skinwalker. What if a dog man is a Skinwalker? So I don't know. But that's the question I take away from it is there had to have been something. Maybe he hasn't told you. Maybe you, I don't know, but something that told him Skinwalker, and I would be curious to know why he felt Skinwalker was involved. But I mean, that's something you can't answer, I know. But if you ever do talk to him again, if you could ask that, I'd be curious to know.
Mm-hmm. His house is now for sale, and last time we heard, like, it's looking like he's not gonna be able to sell it. And it's just like your house sits on 5 acres of land in the middle of the woods. So it's just one of those things. It's like,
there's something going on.
Yeah, usually if a house won't sell, there's a reason.
Yeah, in this market, I mean, everything's selling.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's something to it.
It's insane what it is, and like as I'm like telling the story, because I've told the story a handful of times. Like every single time, I could just imagine Jake's face, just the pure terror in his eyes, like in his face as everything is transpiring, going on.
That's the stuff that sticks with you. It really is.
It's terrifying.
Of all the stuff that happens that night, I mean, and all the traumatic things that you go through in life, it seems like there's always that one image that sticks with you. Like, you know, your grandma, my mom, when she passed away, I was the second one to get there. You know, Dad found her, your grandpa found her, and then I came. And as many good memories I have of my mom, amazing memories. When I first go to think about my mom, the first image that goes in my head is her face that morning and how she looked. It's like it cancels out everything else. And I wish that wasn't it, but it's weird how that works. You know, of all the stuff that happened that night, you're going to remember that look of terror in his eyes.
Yep.
All right, buddy, we are at the hour. I told you once we got going, it would fly by.
It did.
Do. All right, man. Tiffany, you got anything for Jacob before we let him go?
No, thank you for coming on and
I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been looking forward to it. I had to tell your grandpa, my dad, I'd sent them the link, so he was watching, and Allison and your dad was watching. He commented on here. So yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. to come and hang out with us. And I'll let you know when I upload this to podcast.
All right, sounds good. I hope I provided stories that were spooky enough.
You did. You
Oh,
did good.
they were plenty spooky for me. Thanks.
I better get you some rest. Rest that voice.
That'll be all right.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon. You be good, okay?
All right, y'all too. Bye, y'all.
Hey, stop tasing people.
I was not the one that tased him. I smacked him.
Be good, man.
Y'all too.
Bye.
Bye.
That's the one thing I take from that interview. They tased that man.
Poor guy.
Man pass out in his drunken stupor in peace. All right, let me change all this. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Again, I'm glad I got to tell him that I'm proud of him and thank him for the service. But again, if you hear Miss Jacob, thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, what you got before we get out of here? Anything?
Thank you to Michael, who joined our membership, who is now a PO freak. You guys come back. Yes. And we have a show this Saturday evening on our after hours, Mr. Scott Pace from 10 to 11-ish, 11:30-ish. So come back for that.
Is that this Saturday?
Yes. It's the Saturday. Yes.
Heck
This is
yeah.
why I'm your producer. I'm the other half of your podcasting brain.
Yeah. Wow. It snuck up on me. I wasn't expecting it to be this weekend. Good
yeah. Deal. Yeah. So y'all definitely come back for that one for sure. Because these after hours shows, they are off the chain.
People drop $2 to become a member. $2. We would appreciate it. All right. Say your goodbyes, Tiffany.
Goodbye, Tiffany. Have a good day, y'all.
Y'all be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. We'll see you next time.
Stay spooky.
Saturday.